All right, in the first video on the Lego brick, we created our brick. I also demonstrated in the beginning of how the Lego brick, when we come back and add parameters, how we're able to modify this brick, uh, both length, the number of pins in a row, and the number of rows of pins, the width, to become different sizes. When you're imagine all the different sizes of Lego bricks that are available out there. Do you want to keep a separate file on each and every one and try and go find that? Or do you want to simply go in and say, let's modify our parameters. Let's make it, go back to the base brick, 4x2. Okay, there's our brick. The length is recalculated, the width, the number of pins, the number of bottom pins, everything is recalculated and ready to go. You can print it. So we're going to come back and add parameters to our design. I haven't saved mine yet. I need to do that. So we'll call it Lego brick. Easy enough. All right, so the first thing, parameters. Let's go look at the parameters we're going to add. Modify, change parameters. That's how we get to our parameter table. You can access it both in sketch and design mode. So length. Length will be the number of top pins in a row. The width. The width will be the number of rows of top pins. So in this particular case, I have 4 in a row, so that's my length, and I have 2 rows of 4, so my width is 2. The height of the brick, 9.6 millimeters. The spacing, we went over the spacing in the last video. Center point to center point on the top connectors or the bottom connectors, either one, is 8 millimeters. That's going both down the row or from row to row. 8 millimeters always. The diameter of a top connector. Notice my parameter naming convention there. TC underscore diameter, TC. So anything that's relative to a top connector, I have put TC in front of it. It makes using that naming convention, as well as notice everything I've used is lowercase. Okay, there's no uppercase letters. Now, your English teacher may frown upon that, but in programming or doing something like this, TC with an uppercase T is different than TC with a lowercase t. Okay, they will not match. It will give you an error. So you need to come up with a naming convention that makes sense to you. And I don't have to think about, did I make that upper or lowercase? No, because everything's lowercase in my naming convention. You cannot use spaces in your naming convention. So notice I have used the underscore in place of a space, TC underscore diameter. All right, that's a little bit on naming convention. Position. The position of that first connector when we put it 4 millimeters from the top edge and 4 millimeters from the left edge. So that's positioning. Notice, remember the length of our brick is 32 millimeters. The spacing on our rectangular pattern going longways was 24 millimeters. Okay, 3 gaps of 8, giving us 24. The total brick's 32 millimeters. So the length of the brick, since we're always going to add back, it'll be the length, the number of pins, 4, times the spacing, which is 32. We can put formulas in for our parameters, all right? Or in our dimension boxes, which is what we're going to do. So the length of our brick is 32 millimeters, 4 millimeters on each edge from center to edge, 4 millimeters. That's giving us 8 there. 3 gaps of 8, 24. 24 plus 8 is 32. The math always has to work. We have 1 gap of 8 here between our 2 rows, so that's 8 millimeters. 4 millimeters from this edge, 4 millimeters from this edge. That's our width of 16. Math always works. All right. So there's position. The top connector height, 1.7 millimeters. That's our extrude. The wall thickness, we made that 1.5. I want to change that to 1.5 here. And the thickness of the wall of our bottom connector is 1 millimeter. Those are our parameters. I'll click OK. Let's go to our brick and let's add these parameters. So let's go modify, change parameters. First thing I'm going to do is add a parameter. I hit the plus sign here in my box. Brings up an add use parameter box. The name of the parameter. We'll start off with length. Now, length is the number of connectors in a row. It is not a measurement of distance. It says I have 4 of those connectors in my row. So I have to change this. I can't use it as a unit of measurement, millimeters. I have to change it to no units. I'm going to put in my value. My current value is 4. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to add width. Once again, how many rows do I have? It's not asking me for distance. How many rows do I have? I have 2 rows, but I've got to change this to no units. It will mess. If you leave that as millimeters, your calculations will not work. You got to think about what is a unit of measurement and what is a value just stating a number of something. Okay? And you have to treat it accordingly. Now, my next parameter will go with the height of my brick. That is a unit of measurement. My brick is 9.6 millimeters tall. Click OK. So, notice my units here are blank on the length and width because that says I'm not defining a length. I'm saying I have 4 connectors in the top, in the rows. And this says I have 2 rows of connectors, but it's not defining the length of those rows. It's just saying how many connectors I have there. We'll convert that through a formula to a distance later. All right, next parameter. Let's go with spacing. That is the distance between the connectors. That's our 8 millimeters. Center point to center point. Okay. The next one will be position. That's the distance from the edges. Okay. The outer connectors are always, the center points are 4 millimeters from the edges. Let's see, we've got 5 in already, only 4 more to go. We've got height, spacing, position. Let's do the wall thickness, 1.5 millimeters. Let's do our 2 top connector ones, TC underscore diameter. That was 5 millimeters. That are 5 millimeters diameter, center diameter circle. TC height. Spelling error. That's a mess up. I got to hit the plus sign. I went in and edited. Not sure what I was trying to do there. Let's do it again. There's the plus sign. TC underscore height. 1.7. Click OK. And I got The bottom connector wall thickness, 1 millimeter. Okay, how many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's all of them. All right, so we've got all of our parameters identified. Click OK. All right, I'm going to stop here on this video. As you're well aware, I've got a 15-minute limit on the video, so we'll stop here. We'll come back in the next video and apply our parameters to this design. Hit save, and I will see you shortly.